doing any more harm.
Oh, I have a chat now. Everyone can chat.
Okay. Over here,
Wow.
this whole block here on the left that you can see now, that is the Fort Harrison and the Cabanas. So we're going to do a little left turn, and I'm going to show you. Back here are the Cabanas, and that is where Lisa McPherson's room was.
Oh, really?
That is where she stayed. So we're going to have to do a little U-turn. Whoops.
Kids. Da-da-da-da-da-da, kids.
Well, at least we're going to go take a little turn in here, no through traffic. We're going to turn around. Because now we're going to head to Newport Richey. And this is going to be the trip that really breaks my heart.
Yeah.
And when Abraham and I started on this episode, we never knew that it would take us down this rabbit hole that it has. And it has been really incredibly emotional for us because we read all kinds of reports. So right here, these are the Cabanas. And this right here, she was in room 174. I don't see them numbered now.
I know, I don't. I was looking at the numbers last time.
So.
Oh, you have to get real close.
Yeah, but this is where she stayed. And I believe she was on a first floor room.
So she must have been down here on the bottom,
we wouldn't be
right?
able to see her behind.
Right.
And here come a bunch of.
Oh, there's a sandcastle lady. Oops, hello.
And even in this heat, look at how they're dressed.
Yeah, in this
I
heat.
mean, I have short sleeves on, and I'm about to melt. And yet, that's how they. So it's
child.
J-Bet. It's about, depending on traffic, 4 to 5 minutes. We ran into some traffic on the way back from Morton Plant. It was 5 minutes. It would have been 5 minutes time. So now we're leaving at 12:51.
12:51.
It's 12:51. So we're now headed to the hospital where Dr. Minkoff, that's the reason they went there. Dr. Minkoff is a Scientology doctor. Although he didn't have much to do with Lisa's care.
No.
It's, we did 3 episodes on Lisa McPherson. We started, episode 1 was about her, her upbringing and her life.
Yeah.
It was very sad. And then episode 2, how she got really involved in Scientology, and it consumed her life with work and play and everything else. And then we went from the last 17 days of her life. That was our last episode that just came out yesterday. Over
That's
here is
so
this
good.
sand castle where they do all their training.
They do the upper levels over here at the sandcastle. You've got humans sitting in that room for 12, 15 hours a day just auditing body thetans off of themselves, by themselves. Just talking to themselves in their head. If that doesn't drive you crazy, I don't know what would.
Osceola is also one of their buildings.
Yep. I think that's where no, that wasn't.
And then over here on the right, you'll be able to see it says Clearwater Community Volunteers. That's their building. All that whole block along there is all their front groups. Do you have more directions?
Oh. Newport Richey. There it is.
So we're going to go the way that they
just up the. Which way do you think they went? Up the 19, up the alternate 19, or up
I think they probably went alternate 19.
So do I. So do I.
So we're going to take the route that we think they took.
Yeah. So you can see how long it takes to get there. So it took all of 5 minutes to get from Morton Plant Hospital And this is daytime with traffic. If they went after 9 o'clock at night, there's no traffic. So it would have taken them maybe between 3 to 4 minutes. But it was during the daytime, it only took 5 minutes from Morton Plant to the Fort Harrison.
They also own this park over here that you're going to see on as we pass. This used to be a drive-through hamburger joint, I think, and so they bought that. Now it's a park, but
Window.
none of us can.
We're not allowed to sit there. That's the park Mark Bunker got. The police came and pulled him out of there because he was sitting on the bench.
We're going to also, on this drive, see quite a few buildings that Scientology owns. They're not only in Clearwater. They have expanded to Safety Harbor, Largo, Bel Air, Dunedin. They're just about anywhere. I think it's, and somebody who's in Scientology would probably have to tell me this, I think it can have to live within 20 minutes, within 20 minutes of the flag building. And oh, Fuzzy Pink, we did not bring snacks. That was shame on us.
Oh my God, yeah, no. Well, another thing, I don't like when people are streaming and eating at the same time. Or chomping on ice. I'm sorry, just me, but I've got misophonia. No, we'll go and have lunch later or something, but...
Absolutely.
We did bring our water. We do need the hydration. It's extremely hot. We are 2 miles from the sun. And it's just very hot out there today. So we're definitely enjoying the air conditioning in the car.
Again, for anyone new to the chat, we left the Fort Harrison Hotel in Clearwater, Scientology's Fort Harrison Hotel in Clearwater, where Lisa McPherson spent her last days. On December 5th in 1995, Janice Johnson, a security guard and one of Lisa's caretakers, put her in a van, carried her to the van because she couldn't walk, and they took her on this very ride to a hospital in Newport Richey where Scientology Dr. Minkoff was working in the ER, when they easily could have taken her a 4 to 5 minute ride from that same room to the closest hospital. In addition, we're passing several hospitals on the way. There's a major hospital in Dunedin, and so it's not like they only had one option. They only had one option with a Scientology doctor.
Right, because how many other hospitals did they pass up on the way?
Yeah, and...
Or health centers or emergency.
Yeah, and my question is, Janice Johnson is driving the van. Janice Johnson is the only one who had any medical training. She was formerly a doctor who didn't renew her license because she was accused of using
opiates.
Yes, drugs that you take patients basically. And in the back was a security guard with no medical, and there was a caretaker who had no medical training. In the back with the young patient, and the doctor is driving. I find that absurd.
Absolutely.
For some reason, it angers me beyond words.
Well, this is where I think her beliefs took over rationality, and even being a doctor. These are the motels where all the little Sea Org members stay and live when they're doing their training. They're all locked up. They've all got gates.
And then this building up here on the right.
Oh, Moises Agami. Yeah.
Moises Agami owns this building over here. Is he a whale? Is that what he's called?
Yeah,
he's
he
a
is.
whale.
He's a big real estate ding dong in Clearwater.
Yeah, he has something downtown as well. And now we've crossed over the line. We're in Dunedin, basically.
Look how
that's
cute
the
this
bay.
is.
So it's beautiful.
This is where I live, you guys. It's just so adorable. We've got the water right here. We've got some cute little old houses. And one of the homes on here was just named a historical marker place or something. It's a very old building. It just come on to rain here in Glasgow. Oh my God, no thanks. Well, it rains here too, but at least the rain here is warm. You might get hit by lightning, but the rain is warm.
And you wonder, imagine being in the condition that Lisa was in.
Yeah, dehydrated.
She had bruises. She couldn't walk. She did not have enough strength to stand. Her breathing was labored, and yet they, in their minds, thought this was the right thing to do.
Right.
Imagine, I mean, being in the care, and no one called her mother, no one called her aunt or her cousins.
Right.
Nobody called anybody. Nobody. Her family did not find out she died until the day after she died.
Yep.
They didn't feel it necessary to call her mother. Nobody called her mother to say, hey, we're a little concerned about your daughter. She seems to be on the way out. Nothing. Nothing.
They think they can cure, they think they can handle everything. Well, they can't.
Tom, I don't know. I don't know what their thinking was. The majority of the people that cared for her in her last days, some of them didn't even speak English, which didn't matter because they weren't allowed to speak to her anyway.
Right.
They were, none of them had really any training in taking care of her. One of the medical professionals that went to look in on her was a dentist, and he gave her aspirin and Benadryl to help her relax. So I don't know what their thinking was. And it's just to me, I can't even imagine.
Well, it was completely unnecessary that she died. I mean, how many days did you say she was in the room? They had her in 174. Was it 17 days?
17 days.
So imagine being in there 17 days. She's not eating. She's refusing nourishment. She's refusing water. So she's dehydrated and she's very weak from not eating. And all they're doing is shoving protein shakes and vitamins down her gullet. That's about all they can get in her. And of course they had to fight with her to do that, which was even worse. And that's all she had in her system was some vitamins. No, for 17 days. Of course you wouldn't be able to walk. You'd be so weak. Oh, yeah. There we go. Sorry, guys. You would be so incredibly weak. What is going on with this? Okay. And then I'd like to know what the little insect animal bites were on her legs, they said. And the autopsy, she had little bites on her.
I don't know whether maybe she was picking at her skin.
See, it could have been right. She could have been picking at herself too, because when you're in distress, that's...
She never had other than when she was in the car accident on November 18th, that was her only medical exam that she had, and it was just cursory from being in the accident.
Right.
When she was signed out of Judy Goldsberry, a Scientologist, signed her out of, we got a little detour here. When Judy Goldsberry signed her out on November of the hospital, the emergency room on November 18th, she co-signed for Lisa, and it was against doctor's orders. It was so that they said Scientology, there were 6 Scientologists on November 18th that went to the hospital, and they picked her up. Her boss, Ganetta Slaughter, had seen the car accident and alerted everybody that, they would take her to back to the Fort Harrison, and they felt they could handle it. And she was truly having a psychotic break. It was.
The Miss Sunrise Dawn said they were bed bugs, just what you said. So
Yeah.
they could have been bed bugs, right? And no one paid any attention to her. So imagine being in a room alone. You're already having a psychotic break. No one, the people around you are completely ignoring you. Not one of them is speaking to you. They just come in and give you food and do stuff to you, move you around or touch you. But they don't speak to you. They're not allowed to look at you in the eye. Can you imagine how weird that would feel to someone already in a psychotic way? It would seem like, what's going on? You know, the world is weird and it's all on par with her psychotic break. Why are these people not speaking to me?
They force-fed her. They held her down. They force-fed her with something that was akin to a turkey baster.
Right, with a turkey baster, they were force feeding.
So you could only imagine why she's regurgitating that food. Imagine having, like when you go to the dentist and they put something in you, it gags you.
Yep.
I mean, the poor woman. And prior to any of this, back on in May, she was declared clear. Well, and Cheryl, tell us about clear, because you'll say it much better than me.
When you go clear, you have come to realize that you have a reactive mind, and you have actually, because you become aware of it, you've gotten rid of your reactive mind. And your reactive mind is what makes you an insolent human, let's say, where you have emotions and needs and wants. So once you go clear, that's when you start acting differently, because you have become different. And it can be very all-encompassing for some people, but that's what gets you. Now you can climb up the bridge. Now you can get to the higher levels. So it's something that all Scientologists have to reach. They really have to get to to clear. And once you go clear, now you can go up the bridge, because now you're like a really good, really amazing Scientologist. And you get a bracelet. You get a bracelet. I've been mucking up my own reactive mind, and I'm not doing it anymore. That's the clear cognition. You have cognitions in Scientology. It's the aha moments, and Oprah used to call those, I love having the aha moments. Well, that's a cognition. Only in Scientology, they really against all human emotion and normalcy, mental health normalcy. So she went clear, did she? And that's usually when people start losing it, is when you start getting into the upper levels.
That was the one to watch.
I know, but you put them like that, did you? No, you rolled them up on a thingy. Oh, there it is.
No, that's the one to watch.
Oh, yeah. It's... Newport Richey Community Health Center. Yeah, we'll find it when we get there. Oh.
I don't know if I'll be able to reach it.
Oh, that's cool. quick. Oh, we're going to Georgia.
I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I'm tired already. We've only been in the car barely 15, 20 minutes. And imagine if you're gasping for your last breath.
Yep, it's been 21 minutes since we drove away from the Fort Harrison already. So, and apparently at this point, she was already non-responsive. She was already deceased on the way there. It's already been 21 minutes. And she's so weak she can't even hold herself up.
I mean, she's literally propped in the back seat between two people that are holding her up and hearing that her breath is labored. In our episode 3, you can we summarize the sworn testimonies by the caretakers, by the people that were in the van with her, and they say she was, you know, she was weak. She was incontinent. You know, it was all the worst case scenario. And I just don't understand how a medical doctor could not say,
right, this is all wrong, and we shouldn't be doing any of this, and let's get her to a hospital. Absolutely.
And yet nobody was, and we're going to get into this in future episodes, but Abraham and I both needed a break from this week because it was really emotional.
It's a lot, right? I was crying last night listening to it towards the end.
It was so draining. And so next week's episode is going to be about Scientology's take on psychiatry.
Oh, yeah. They love to hate the psychiatrists. Well, they're stuck in the 50s still. They still think everyone's getting lobotomies and getting electrocuted. We are, but a different way. Yeah, she deserved care. She didn't deserve anything that they did to her the last 20 days of her life.
And what is so sad is she trusted them.
Yeah, she trusted them. That's the worst part. She trusted them.
Imagine trusting people, knowing, you know, and your religion, that they're going to do what's right for you, and they betray you in the most horrific way.
She should have had compassion
and medical care.
And medical care. Not, let's handle this. Oh, let's handle it with some vitamins.
They gave her CalMag. They gave her all kinds of vitamins. They gave her protein powder. They would mash protein powder up in a banana.
With bananas and try and shove it down her. Now, in the autopsy, it said there was nothing in her stomach except bile. So, towards the end, I guess nothing even went in her body at all. So after 17 days of not eating, you definitely would be so weak. And that's a religion. They're saving mankind. I mean, it hasn't really gone well for them, but they think they're saving mankind.
There's another, we passed one hospital on the way. There's another hospital just up the road from here. There are several.
Yes, Nice County is over there. That's right.
Yep. So along this route, not only did they not take her to the hospital that was around the block from where they were, there have been several hospitals en route that they could have easily said, you know what, we're losing her, we got to stop. But they chose to just continue on and
to Dr. Minkoff, because maybe her Lyme disease was doing this. Ugh. So he was sued, wasn't he? Minkoff?
I believe his license was revoked for about a year following that.
I'm surprised it was only a year. I'm surprised it wasn't completely removed.
Well, and we haven't looked into the case yet, but I know Growing Up in Scientology is the
Whitney Mills.
Yeah, Whitney Mills case, which is it rings really very similar to Lisa McPherson. So, and that's currently in the news and stuff. So that's something else to look forward to. And brings up another good point. Did they learn nothing from what they did to Lisa McPherson?
Exactly.
They learned nothing.
They learned nothing because they basically did the same thing to Whitney. Introspection rundown. Apparently it kills people. It's not a good rundown. They need to remove that, squirrel it hard off the books, because it's bad. It's bad.
You know, it really goes to show you that Scientology doesn't work.
It doesn't.
Not only doesn't it work, it does harm.
That's all it can do. Like Aaron I love this. Pat Broker, he showed the video of Pat Broker when they told everyone that LRH had gone on to Target 2. Pat Broker came on wearing his fake Navy jacket, licking his lips, telling everyone that the OT levels for the other side for being able to drop the body were all written up, and they would be producing those soon, which they haven't. They just about produced OT8, which is a load of nonsense. It's nothing. And he was lying. But it's all about dropping the body. They have such a weak belief in and disrespect for life. It's unbelievable.
One of the things that Janice Johnson said in her testimony after Lisa died was that when she went to the room, Lisa recognized her and was very pleasant. Which makes you wonder, how pleasant could you be if you can't barely breathe, you can't stand up, you have no control, you're incontinent. And she said she was very pleasant. She greeted her pleasantly, which is shocking to me.
Very, absolutely shocking.
And untrue. There's no way it could be
There's
true.
no way. Someone just said that because they had to write something down and they wanted to lie to make it look like... So they have no guilt. So someone was asking what the final report of autopsy was, and it is manner of death was undetermined, and the immediate cause of death was thromboembolism in the left pulmonary artery due to thrombosis of left popliteal vein due to bed rest and severe dehydration. Now, the popliteal vein is behind the knee, is in the back of the leg. So she had embolism in her left lung and in her leg that took her out. That's basically what took her out, and it was from lying in bed. So for 17 days, basically, she was just in bed, lying around, other than getting up fighting people. And severe dehydration. That's awful. And she's in a hotel. She's in a hotel full of people who are trying to save mankind, but they can't save one person who's in need.
and that they can't even recognize that there's a problem. That's shocking to me, how you can't recognize
Right.
that there's a problem. That
One of them was a doctor.
And it was reported that everything, the caretakers wrote reports. The last 3 days of Lisa's life, those reports disappeared. Those reports are gone. There's no paper trail of what was going on in the last 3 days of Lisa McPherson's life. Nobody knows what happened to them.
Wow.
Except I think Marty Rathbun said he destroyed them.
Yes, that's what I believe happened. Because he was in charge at the time, wasn't he?
He was in RTC. At the, one of the things that Marty Rathbun had said in his time when he was away from Scientology was that David Miscavige he oversaw Lisa McPherson going clear. He was, everybody was in contact with him in regards to Lisa. So it wasn't that any of this came as a shock, I believe, to David Miscavige. Because he was aware of what was going on. Because he said that, according to Marty, that they had taken care of somebody that was in Lisa's condition, a type 3. And so David Miscavige was not in the dark about this, allegedly.
See, if there's any tiny little issue, piece of drama, something kicking off in Scientology, he knows. He knows about everything. So the fact that they act afterwards like, I wasn't in charge of that, I didn't know about that, they lie. All of these people up in OSA and even David Miscavige, if there's something going on, they know everything. They know everything. About everyone, if there's a problem. And it really irks me that you always hear them go, I wasn't in charge of that. Yeah, I was just the driver. Mm-hmm. Yeah, those kind of things. They're very good at shirking blame.
Abraham, I have those clips of Marty.
Yes, those were, when you threw those in, those were good.
No, Tom was saying that he has, Marty Rathbun did, there's 2 great clips of him about Miscavige, how he bribed Joan Woods, the person with the death, with the cause of death, which there's a whole Megillah going on about that.
Yes.
We're going to go into that in the future. Like I said, we just need a little break.
Yeah, it's a bit much, this one.
Yeah, it's like, I lost sleep over this case. And
I bet.
I've lived in Clearwater for decades, and I lived here when this all went on, and it was horrific then, but really now taking a look back at it and how nothing has changed that is the most deplorable.
Isn't it?
And the conditions are still bad, and we still see children involved and children going into the to the Fort Harrison. I mean, it shouldn't be.
And they're still doing the same things the same way. When Whitney Mills started having her little psychotic breaks, kind of the same thing. She had people watching her, but they weren't, to get close or too intimate. They were just there to watch her, to keep an eye on her. And she was having an absolute, as they say, type 3 case. It was in her, she believed she had something in her brain. She was depressed. She had depression and anxiety. And these things can be helped without auditing. And you don't necessarily need medication every time either. If you don't like taking medication, then don't. There are other ways to help your depression and your anxiety, like the SGB shots.
Well, and as we all know, L. Ron Hubbard did not have a degree in medical or mental health.
No.
So, as a science fiction writer, I'm not exactly sure how you qualify to direct somebody's mental health care or medical care for that matter.
Right. So we've been driving for a good 35 minutes. At this point, Lisa was already gone, but they kept going. Let's go see Dr. Minkoff. Let's go to a chiropractor, shall we?
Dr. Minkoff's a medical doctor.
I know. Very sarcastic.
And Daisy.
And that's the worst part. He's a medical doctor. He's a medical doctor, and everyone has Lyme disease. To him.
Now, mind you, we've not been driving slow. We've
No.
been driving, 60, 65 on this road. So it's taken us so far this long, and even back then, this road that we're on now, this highway, was not this wide.
Right, this was even smaller back then, wasn't it? This has been widened over the past
Yeah.
decade.
Yeah, it's been almost this December, coming December 5th, will be 19 years, I believe, since
Right.
Lisa died. She died in 1995, and so 19 years later, our infrastructure and roads have been improved, and yet it's still taking us this long.
It's still, yeah.
They said it took 45 minutes. We don't know because we can't believe a word they say.
Right.
Maybe it took them an hour. Yeah, I would have. Lisa was gasping for air at this point. Her breathing was
labored.
It was incredibly labored. She was bruised. She couldn't hold her head up, and the doctor was driving.
Yeah, the doctor was driving. And a lot of those bruises, as your body starts to decompose, rhabdomyolysis, you start getting those bruises. That is, her body was dying. And for a doctor not to be aware of this, and she drove. She's the one that actually drove her.
And I don't know why that sticks with me so horribly.
Yeah, that
is the
pisses
fact
me
that,
off. Yeah.
the doctor was driving and not sitting in the back to do any kind of life-saving things. At that point, she was hands off. I'm the driver. I'm not, that's all I am, is the driver.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
Daisy, Miss Daisy, thank you so much.
So Dusty, see, this is what Dusty wants to do. Here we go. He said something in the chat. If I can bring it back up here. What do you think of a worldwide traveling memorial for Lisa McPherson, December 5th, 2025? I think we should do it 2024. That's what I think. I don't want to wait a whole year. Why don't we do it this year? You almost got the right date, Dust. Yes, I think that's what we need to do. We need to celebrate it on every corner of the globe. We need to do a Lisa McPherson something in front of every org, in front of every mission, in front of every hotel, motel, holding up Lisa's name just so that they all remember her too. I think that's a good idea. What do you all think? That should definitely be done.
When everybody came to town, Liz Gale and Natalie and Tony and Jenna and Kelly Copter, when everybody was here and everybody met up downtown Clearwater, we went to the Lisa McPherson brick and paid tribute to her. There's a brick in downtown Clearwater as a memorial to her. AA Ron Aaron Smith Levin actually went one day because it was so disrepair, and hand scrubbed it, cleaned it, and repainted her name on it.
He highlighted her name and
Yeah, and then he put like a silicone spray or something on it to, to preserve it.
Yeah.
So people are aware, and it's just to me unbelievable that they have just ignored it. They don't even want to hear her name.
Yeah, they ignore it. And even Whitney Mills, and that was recent. That was just 2 years ago.
Some of the caretakers were sent back to their countries right after Lisa died, and they weren't even, I don't believe they were able to find them and bring them back
Right.
to do their depositions, to do their sworn testimonies.
So we're in another county now, guys.
Yeah, we've left Pinellas County, and now we're into Pasco County, a whole new place.
And we're getting into 40 minutes already from the Fort Harrison, so she couldn't breathe, she couldn't hold herself up. They were basically holding her up, and she's in the back of the car. At this point, 40 minutes into it. And like I said, we are, even though it's daytime and we're catching traffic, the road is wider than it used to be. And we've been going at a steady pace. And it's still taking us a good 40 minutes to get there. And from the Morton Plant Hospital to the Fort Harrison, it was 5 minutes. That's all it was, 5 minutes. Pasco. As soon as you drive into Pasco, the strip clubs start showing up everywhere. Ooh, liquor lounge. That's a big one.
What happened is, at the night of Lisa, the night that Lisa died, when her caretaker, Laura, I believe it was Laura Abraham, correct me if I'm wrong, went to her room, she was alarmed by the state of how Lisa was, and then they called Janice Johnson. She got the message around 7 p.m. Came over. Dr. Minkoff was called and said bring her in, but he was only going to be there till 10. I believe he ended up staying till 11:30 because of the circumstances, but probably by no choice of his.
Right. Well, probably Miss Scavage called him and told him, don't leave.
Yeah, there was no communication among the caretakers. Nobody was allowed to talk to each other. Nobody was allowed to discuss it. When Judy Goldsberry went to Janice Johnson and said, I really need to know how Lisa's doing because, I may run into the ER doctor at Morton Plant from when I signed her out, and he's going to ask me how she is. I want to know. And Janice Johnson pretty much said, butt out, it's none of your business. So she even tied Judy Goldsberry's hands, who actually seemed to give a darn about how Lisa was doing.
Right, about her, yeah.
And
well-being, at least.
Yeah, and so nothing came of it. It was like one calamity after another, and that was it. I mean, it was just...
It was one wrong decision after another, wasn't it? It was just so many.
Yeah, and it was incompetence. It was people who had no medical training whatsoever caring for a dying woman. I mean, they had no medical training. They were secretaries, librarians, paper pushers, Some of them didn't speak English. Doctors with no credentials, a dentist. And the thing I think that really, really upsets me worse than anything is the lack of compassion and empathy. There was no compassion. There was no empathy, although it said that some of the caretakers were crying, but I wouldn't doubt that that was because they felt overwhelmed and they didn't know what to do.
Right.
And, so...
Someone died on them. That's got to be pretty traumatizing. That's got to be... Even as a Scientologist, your human part would have to come out there. It would have to.
You would think. And then I'm sure everybody was horrified at the results.
Absolutely.
And everybody's like, wash my hands of this. I had nothing to do with it.
Yep.
And I think the girls that they sent out of the country to their home countries, one supposedly had a family emergency and there was an excuse for the other, that they got rid of them is because maybe they would crack and they would tell the truth. And Scientology, that's just my opinion, but I mean...
Well, maybe Matt Pesh sent the money to cover up all these, to get everyone out of the way to cover up all the crimes. Because that's what they did. Like Tanya just said, they had to take her to someone who would cover up their crimes. And they were scared to go to a regular place. They wanted someone else to just cover it all up. Another Scientologist to just handle it and make it go right.
Getting closer, but not quite.
And putting people in her carers in quarantine in case they caught something off her. There was nothing wrong with her. She was a healthy young woman. They put them in quarantine so no one could get to them, so they wouldn't speak. That's pretty much...
Yeah, I can imagine. I know, just from personal experience, if you have an argument with somebody and you don't talk to each other for days, it eats at you.
Yes!
It's just a simple thing. Like, if my husband and I didn't, we just don't talk. And that's okay. But years ago, if we didn't have a conversation, if we ended on bad terms about something and didn't talk for a couple days, it eats at you. And imagine 17 days of not one person talking to you, and then you're going to begin to think, what the heck is the matter with me? And you're going to spiral out of control.
It makes it even worse, this introspection rundown, because people are in your vicinity, they're around you, and they are ignoring you. They are doing things to you, bringing things and pointing at things, but none of them are talking to you. They cannot communicate with you. That would make you crazy. That's gaslighting, weird stuff. It's just wrong. So on top of losing it, people around you acting out of step, out of normalcy, would totally throw you, I'm pretty sure. So we are in Newport Richey, where they brought her. Oops. Have any of the caretakers left Scientology? I don't think so. If anything, I think they're staying in to keep themselves safe. Because if they left and spoke out, they would get dead agented with all of that stuff. And Scientologists don't want to be aggravated by things they've done. Oops. Did you hear if any of the caretakers have left Scientology?
No.
No, see, I don't think they have. I don't think they did. They're probably back in their own countries. Like you said, one was from Colombia, right? Yeah, they just sent people away like they do. As soon as there's a problem, they send you away to handle things. 29 years, that's how long it's been? Wow. I remember when it happened, because I remember hearing something about Scientology. I was always looking up Scientology stuff. And I just thought, my God, that's horrible. This should bring down Scientology. Nope. Minutes.
Hey, witness.
Hey, witness.
Kelly. Hey, Kelly. Like Abraham said, we're driving from the Fort Harrison Hotel, the Cabanas, room 174, where Lisa McPherson was taken on December 1995, December 5th, 1995. They had to carry her to a van. Janice Johnson, a caretaker, and a security guard put her in a van, and they drove her 45 minutes or more, as we're finding, to a hospital in Newport Richey, when there was a hospital 5 minutes away. And we passed 2, maybe 3 hospitals en route
Yes.
to get to this hospital, and we're still not there. So it's very disturbing.
They gave that woman no chance. They gave her no chance.
I mean, even if they brought her to Morton Plant Hospital, I don't know. I think probably in their minds they were like, well, Morton Plant will call us out because we signed her out. We said we'd take care of her, and now she's dying. So I'm sure there was some concern, and then they figured maybe Dr. Minkoff would, be able to pull a miracle out. But he was not able to do that.
Yeah.
And a funny thing, Cheryl and I, before we took this ride today, we went by Dr. Minkoff's 2 offices, not 1, but 2.
2 offices.
And each of them were jam-packed.
Both Dr. Minkoff's offices are full of people. Packed solid, full of people.
Mm-hmm. Because he can cure just about anything, I suppose. Allegedly.
So all of these people are on, are on heavy doses of pink Himalayan salt, infrared lamps, iron, vitamins, lots of CalMag, alkaline water. Lots of alkaline water, do that. And sit under red infrared lamps and roast your ass off. Because that gets rid of everything, all the regeneration. It regenerates your cells, regenerates the body.
Yes, witness. That's what they did. They wanted to go to a hospital where there was a Scientology doctor.
Yep.
So that's why they chose. Minkoff was on staff here in the ER at the hospital in Newport Richey, and so that's why they drove to Newport Richey.
And I told this to Sandi before we went live, but one of my dad's hospice nurses used to work at Morton Plant Hospital, and she was there when the whole Lisa McPherson thing happened. And she said after the Lisa McPherson event, as soon as someone came in the hospital and they mentioned they were a Scientologist, They were hands off. They didn't want to mess with you. They did the minute, whatever it is that they kept you, whatever they had to do for you to get you. I mean, they took the Hippocratic Oath. They got to do their job, but they would be very extra careful with anyone who mentioned they're a Scientologist, because they're fearful of legal liabilities at this point.
Oh, my phone is overheating. So if you can hear me, I'm going to take my phone down and cool it off.
Oh, poor little phone.
Oops.
No. So this is the hospital. Wow. Oh my God, sorry guys. Gimbal.
Okay, gang, we're back. My phone overheated. I'm sorry. I had to stick it in front of the air conditioner.
Okay, so 57 minutes, that's what my phone. So yeah, almost an hour to get here when the woman was trying to breathe.
Imagine, my phone overheated. That's how long it took us to get here.
Yeah.
That my phone is overheated.
Right.
So you can imagine how it was for Lisa McPherson. They get to the hospital, they get to the emergency room, and they get an orderly out. And when the orderly comes out, I'm gonna see if we can find us a shady spot to park, because my phone will overheat again. But there's the emergency room.
There's the emergency.
They get here. They get an orderly. They put Lisa in a wheelchair, and there's no signs of life. They drove here, and Lisa died on the way, and nobody noticed. Nobody noticed. They brought her in. They intubated her. They did whatever else they could do. And they couldn't resuscitate her. They never called her family. They just let her die. And when they asked Janice Johnson, the doctor who was driving the car, what Lisa's address was, what her, her information was, all of that, they asked her, basically, who is she, and what can we do to find out about her family? And she said, I just drove. That's it.
Yeah, the doctor that drove Lisa here, she was just driving. That's all.
She was a driver.
This is where they brought us. So it took us a good 50 minutes to get here.
Sorry, my phone is so hot, it's not letting me switch it around, so I don't mean to be rude.
Oh, is it? Oh.
That's why we parked in the shade. But
Yeah, it's nice here right now.
Imagine that. So she gets here, and she's dead on arrival. And it took us that long. And there had to, in my eyes, I think there had to be something else that could have been done to save her life. And yet, they didn't do it.
Like possibly talk to her and just take her to a real doctor.
You know, did anybody embrace her along the road? Did anybody hug her and say it's going to be okay? Did anybody hold her hand or rub her head or any of that? Or did they just think, we'll drop her off, she'll drop her body, whatever?
Basically.
Without any emotion or kindness. And it really, really, it just breaks my heart.
It is. It's so cold. It's so cold.
No humanity. You're right, Fuzzy. No humanity whatsoever. And it just, it was awful. And I can't help but think that they would have restructured and relearned things and do things differently. But from everything we can see, there's not a whole lot that's done other than ways that Scientology protects themselves.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right, Abraham. Morton Plant being 5 minutes away from where she initially started her ride. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. So anyway, I guess I'm going to end my stream here because...
Yeah, me too.
You know, this is how it ended for Lisa. And Abraham and I are going to come back with, you know, what happened after her death. And we're going to follow up on that with that. I just needed a palate cleanser for next week, and
Yeah.
Abraham as well. It was a lot of emotion for us, and there are others. Oh, that's absolutely right, witness. Who knows how many there are? Oh, Fuzzy says, thank you and Cheryl for doing this.
Oh, no, of
Thanks,
course.
Fuzzy. We
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
No,
Yeah.
this is, well, it had to be done. We want to show people, like, really how Scientology, the damage it's done, how it actually unnecessarily took a woman's life. And then we have Whitney Mills to talk about, too. That will be next, but...
Yeah. Thank you, Helgier. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. And you guys, you have to go listen to, if you haven't yet, Sins of Scientology. They just dropped the 3rd episode last night, and it was brilliant. It's just brilliant. It had me, I was crying my eyes out.
And
So
yes,
well done.
everybody on our chat, Feral Cheryl on YouTube, and she does. She's doing now her Tales from the Crypt about her dad from his writings, and she's very funny too. So she brings a little humor to like the horror of Scientology, which is much appreciated.
I want that on a t-shirt.
Humor to the horror. Anyway, thank you everyone for coming. Thank you, Abraham,
Thanks,
for
guys.
being here and for modding. And I appreciate you all being there when my phone overheated and whatnot. And we will see you again soon.
See you on the flippity dippity. Be good to everyone. I love you.